high on the face of a gray stone cliff, where the wind moved in long, slow waves, and the sky stretched wide in every direction. There was a nest. It was large and deep and built from strong branches woven together over many years. And in that nest lived a young eagle named Eli. Eli was strong. His wings were broad and his eyes were sharp. He could see the valley far below with perfect clarity. The silver thread of the river, the dark green of the forest, the small moving shapes of creatures going about their lives. He saw all of it, every single day. From the nest, he had never left it. The other young eagles had gone weeks ago. One by one they had stood at the edge, looked down at the long drop to the valley below, opened their wings, and stepped off. Some had wobbled, some had dropped fast before rising, but all of them had flown. Now they circled the thermals above the valley, calling out to each other across the wide open sky. Eli watched them from the nest. He told himself he was not ready, that his wings needed more time, that the wind was wrong today, that tomorrow would be better. His mother listened to his reasons without arguing. She had heard them all before. One quiet evening she sat beside him at the nest edge and looked out at the valley below. "The sky does not get smaller while you wait," she said gently. Eli said nothing. He looked at his talons gripping the thick branch at the nest edge and felt the familiar weight of everything he was not doing. That night he dreamed of falling. Summer deepened. The days grew long and warm. The valley below filled with life and movement. And Eli stayed in the nest. One afternoon, two young eagles landed on a nearby rock to rest. They did not notice Eli at first. Their conversation drifted across the air between them. "Is that eagle still in the nest?" said the first. "He has been there all season," said the second, with no particular cruelty, just the casual honesty of a fact. They lifted off again and were gone in moments. Eli stood very still for a long time after the sound of their wings faded. He thought about all the mornings he had stood at the nest edge and stepped back, all the reasons he had given himself, all the ways he had made waiting feel like wisdom. And he understood something sharp and clear and unavoidable. He was not being careful. He was not being patient. He was afraid, simply and entirely afraid. And the fear had been making his decisions for longer than he wanted to admit. That evening the wind came up strong from the south. Eli stood at the edge of the nest and felt it move through his feathers. Below him the valley stretched enormous and alive. The river caught the last light of the sun. The forest moved in the wind like breathing. He looked down for a long time. Then he looked at his wings. Then he looked down again. He stepped back from the edge. But this time something felt different about the stepping back. It felt like a choice that was running out of time. That night a storm came. It arrived without much warning, a darkness rolling in from the east, the wind shifting and sharpening, the temperature dropping fast. Rain followed, cold and heavy. Eli pressed himself low in the nest, wings tight against his body, riding out the movement. The nest held. It always held. It had been built for exactly this. But as the storm moved through the dark hours, something shifted inside Eli too. He lay in the nest listening to the storm and thought about the eagles, circling the thermals. Where were they now? Not in a nest on a cliff. They were out there somewhere in the dark and the wind, riding it or sheltering in trees or finding their own way through. They had no nest to return to. They had only themselves and their wings and everything. They had learned it by using them. The storm eased toward morning. Gray light came slowly. The valley below appeared out of the mist piece by piece. Eli stood up in the nest and stretched his wings fully for the first time in a long time. They were wide, much wider than he remembered them feeling. The wind caught the undersides and he felt it, the lift. Just standing there, wings open, he felt the air trying to take him. His mother was watching from the rock beside the nest. She said nothing. She did not need to. Eli walked to the edge of the nest slowly. He looked down. The valley was very far below. The river was a thin silver line. The trees were small. The drop was real and long and serious. He knew all of this. He had known all of this for months. Knowing it had never been the problem. He took a breath. He felt the wind. And he stepped off. The drop was fast and shocking and nothing like anything he had imagined. The air rushed past him and the cliff face blurred beside him, and for one long, terrible moment there was nothing holding him at all. Then something ancient and certain took over. His wings opened, not from thought, not from decision. They simply opened, the way they had always been meant to. The air caught them. The drop became a glide. The glide became a rise. He was flying, not perfectly, not gracefully. His wings worked hard, and his path was uneven, and he overcorrected twice before, finding something close to balance. But the valley was rising to meet him, and the wind was real beneath his wings, and the world looked entirely different from here than it ever had from the nest. He circled once, then again. Below him the river caught the morning light. The forest stretched dark and wide. A pair of eagles called from somewhere above, and he turned his head toward the sound and called back. His own voice surprised him. It was stronger than he remembered. He climbed higher. The nest on the cliff grew smaller and smaller until it was just a dark shape on the gray rock. He looked at it for a moment. Then he turned away and flew toward the open sky. The nest had kept him safe. He understood that. He was grateful for every branch of it, but it had only ever been the beginning. And beginnings, when their time is done, must be left behind. He had not been afraid of the sky. He had been afraid of who he would have to become to reach it. Now he knew, and now he flew.